Hello. So we're back again. Welcome back. Welcome back to another night with the AOFC family. We welcome you to Alpha and Omega Ministries Family Church. I am your host again for this session, Elder Andre, or you may call me Andre, whichever one works for you. I will be your host again for tonight's session. When we left off the last time, we had entered into a discussion talking about type A, type B, a personality assessment. In our previous session, we introduced the concept of type A, type B personality as seen through the research of Maya Friedman and Rosenman in the early 1950s. So, again, this is a psychological concept that we're exploring. We briefly touched on personality traits or behaviors that were most associated with type A personalities or groups of people and their relationship or their correlation with heart disease and related symptoms based on research. Now, again, this was as seen through the eyes of physicians or cardiologists, which were Mayor Friedman and R.H. Rosenman. And so our question was, or our inquiry was, which one am I most? Type A, type B personality. Now, if you know anything about the history of personality assessments, if you've ever done one, usually those are mostly used like in a situation where maybe you're trying to find the best type of vocation or best type of job for you that fits your personality. Maybe you're trying to see sometimes in the dating arena, like if you're doing online dating or something like that, or you want to go through an agency, they will want to try to find out through question and answering what your personality type is and what person you might be best suited for. An organization, if you're, let's say, trying to go into managerial duty or opportunities, they may do a personality assessment without you really knowing that they're doing it. A lot of times, this type of stuff is woven into the application process in the questions that they ask us. So, like the devil is in the details, so to speak. Or in educational settings, like if you're trying to maybe test a child, maybe trying to see what would be the best program for this child or the best type of setting for him or her. That is where these may come into play at. Even in clinical settings, like maybe if you're going for therapy or you're going for counseling, that counselor, that therapist is going to want to try to do their best to get some idea or an assessment of your person or your background. You know, generally, what kind of person might you be, to help them kind of better understand you and better be able to relate to you and better be able to offer services to you. So that is like the main objective of a personality assessment. Or it's an opportunity for me to try to get to know a little bit about myself. I can remember doing them when I was younger, even down to this day. I can remember when magazines were in high circulation, I would see them like in the Reader's Digest, something like that. I may pick that up from the store. Maybe my mom may have had some type of magazine like that, and I would see those in there. They always would pique my interest. I was always pulled to that, wanting to know more about the person, more about the human being. What is it that makes us tick? What is it that makes this person cry more than this one? What is it that makes this one seem a little bit more affectionate versus the other person who seems maybe lacking affection or empathy? Or why do I seem not to be as competitive as maybe these other people? So on and so forth. So personality assessments, they can be quite fun. And I will tell you that personality does play a role in our relationship with Christ. It plays a role into our religious affiliations and our beliefs and our interest and all of those type of things, our aptitudes, so on and so forth. And understanding that can help us to understand some of our behaviors and some of the things that we do, and maybe some of the things that may not be so healthy for us, or maybe some of those things that are good qualities and concepts that we want to keep and we want to build on and we want to master, so that we can go out and be effective with them in our communities, jobs, so on and so forth. Okay. So with all of that said, and one more thing, remember that I did pose a question to the audience. It's kind of like a brain teaser or a question. And I talked about how we should not be afraid to ask questions, because a lot of times answers that we're looking for, they lie within us asking questions. Or something that's unanswered is because maybe I did not ask the question, or I failed to do my duty to research, or to go and look it up, or to go and look for it, or to go and seek it out. So the question that was posed was, why did Charles Dickens need to research both London and Paris for one of his novels? So this is the question, and I'm looking for the correct answer to it. Now, unless you are like an avid reader or something like that, you're going to have to search for this one, but that's the fun in it. That's the fun in it. I want to see who can come up with this answer. If you have it, you must be the first one to post it. You must comment, post it up underneath the video. Don't try to send it some other way. Post it up underneath the video. The person who posts first with the correct answer, there's going to be a prize in it for you, and then we'll get to you on that, okay? But again, the question is, why did Charles Dickens need to research both London and Paris for one of his novels? Let's see who can come up, who will do the work and go and find it out, okay? All right. So now we're going to review type B personality traits or the behaviors as they were conceptualized through Friedman and Rosenman. We want to see how they compare or contrast to type A personality traits and their relationship, if any, to principles or teachings of Jesus, as stated in Matthew chapter 5, verses 1 through 11. And we're going to go and read those here in a little bit. So just to refresh, type A personalities were thought to be highly competitive. These are their traits and characteristics in response to questions asked of them and what was observed through them. You know, we can take in a lot of information or learn a lot of things just through observation. Okay, so they were seen as highly competitive, highly aggressive. That could be ranging from being hostile or combative or forceful in nature. They could be overly ambitious. This plays into one's desire or eagerness. Could be seen as fast talkers, or they could be seen as impatient, which we know is the opposite of patient. Okay, type B personality traits or behaviors were seen as follows. They tended to be more relaxed, more patient, and more easygoing. Now, I will be transparent here and tell you that when I look at type B, all three of those, to a degree, will mostly fit my personality type. Now, to an onlooker, to somebody who maybe is not familiar with me, maybe who is not engaged with me on some type of a level, it may appear like, oh, you know, this person, they don't seem like they want to interact much, or They don't seem like they have the energy, like they lack energy, or they wouldn't be interested in going out and playing some football, or they wouldn't be interested in going out playing basketball, so on and so forth. But see, sometimes we can be quick to judge. Just because a person seems like a little bit mellow, chill, relaxed, not easily excited or angered, things like that, we may underestimate that person. Now, how many type B people do I have? Raise your hand. I see you. I see you out there. You're with me. Okay. Now, I can also see some type A traits in me that will come up at various different times. It just kind of depends on maybe the circumstance or the context, what it's dealing with. Like being, I would say, I take for instance, now I'm not a fast talker. I don't consider myself to be like that. I'm more inclined to kind of listen and kind of take in what's going on in the environment. I'm going to sit back. I'm going to kind of listen. I'm going to look. I'm going to kind of use my senses and use that ability to kind of observe and take in before I really speak. Now, at certain times, on certain occasions, I need to speak up, and I will speak up. So that's that balancing act. Learning when to speak, not being so quick to speak out. The Bible talks about that. Be slow to speak. You see that writing in there. That's one of the proverbial writings. Be slow to speak, but quick to hear, quick to listen. So that's like a caution to not always be so want to dive in. Sometimes we want to dive in. We want to make a judgment about something, pass a judgment, or we want to react, and we have not really done our due diligence to listen. We have not done our due diligence to really kind of investigate or hear another's perspective. That can be like the type A person. So we're kind of comparing and contrasting now. The type A person may not, because they're in a hurry. They're always in a hurry, and maybe they're so goal-oriented that they don't stop to take the time to build relationships. They don't, and this could go, relationships could cover areas such as family, husband and wife, your children, employment, neighbors, so on and so forth. If I'm always on the go, always feeling like I have to be in a position of competing, I always feel like I have to compete with people. Might that say that there is some sense, if you will, of insecurity that I may have in myself? That I only see myself or my worth or my value in things that I acquire, or in conquering something, or winning something, or gaining something. Is that all that I am? Is that all of who I am? Is that all that I see myself as, or what I have to offer? Do I believe that that's all that God sees in me? That's all the value that he sees in me? He said, I don't really judge you in terms of him. When you talk about faith or salvation, or talk about entering into a relationship with him, or receiving righteousness, forgiveness from him, he says, I don't judge you based on, or the basis of our relationship is not based on what you do. It is based on your belief and your reception to my son, Jesus. Do you believe him? Well, if you believe him, then you can receive him. And if you can receive him, then I will see you as I see him. You'll be one of his brothers. I'll see you as his brother. And I'll see you as a joint heir with him of what I've given to him, you also can have. So to my type A people, slow down just a little bit. Don't always feel like your motor, your engine has to be at full throttle. You got to slow that thing down sometimes a little bit so that you can really take in life, take in the environment around you, take in the people around you, take in the scene around you so that you can enjoy it. You don't want to just work, and just be inquiring, work, and you not take the time to really enjoy what it is that you've labored for, or that you're so busy with working and meeting objectives that you fail to recognize those people who are standing with you and whose hands went to the plow with you and who do that labor and that work with you. Or you fail to take the time to hear your son or your daughter's request. Daddy or mommy, can you read me this book? Daddy or mommy, why are you dressed up like that? Where are you going? Daddy or mommy, why is the bird going and flying up in the trees? Taking their time to really engage with people, not always feeling like you have to be overly aggressive. Even sometimes when we're addressing, and I'll put this in the context of children. Children are not always going to go the direction when we want them to go the direction. They're not always going to see things our way or want to do things our way. We all were once children. So we're going to need that patience at times with them to understand where they are right now in life, and to be able to look back and say, you know what, I was once there, so I understand. Children, their nature is to ask questions. They're not going to think about the question that they ask. They're not going to try to dress it up a certain kind of way. They're not going to think about how it sounds or phrasing and all that. They're just going to ask is what they're going to do. And then we as the adults, we hear it, we filter it out, we make it make sense. And, we sit down, return an answer to them. We sit down and turn it into a learning opportunity. Sometimes it can be an opportunity for both of us to learn, especially when you talk about technology, the age that we're in, AI, artificial intelligence, all those things. That's where they are right now. That's appealing to them. But we don't ever stop learning, so we can learn with them. But it's going to require patience. It's going to require us acknowledging other people, being easygoing, wanting to have peace with as many people as possible. Is there a time for war? Yes, there's a time where sometimes we may have to address some things. There are times where challenges may come up and we have to be able to be aggressive and overcome those things. Okay, so that is a good trait of a type A person. Now, if I'm overly aggressive, then I have to tone it down a little bit, because that can cause other people to kind of shun away from me and not really want to engage me. And if I'm like that, it could be a scenario like this where maybe that person sees that, you know what, if you keep going that direction, if you keep walking that way, you're going to fall down into that ditch that's down there. But you're so aggressive or you're so snappy, I don't feel like I can really tell you and talk to you. I can just but sit back and look and just hope and say, I hope that person I hope they take the time and slow down and they see that cliff right there. That's where we have to have that balancing act. A good balance for a person would be to have a combination of those type A, type B type of traits. And we're going to see that. We're going to look at that, and hopefully you can see it when we look at Matthew chapter 5, which we're going to go there in a moment. An interesting statistic, according to research, in the initial study that Friedman and Rosenman did with their cardiology patients, is that they found that in the initial study that type A individuals were twice as likely to develop coronary heart disease than type B individuals. And a lot of that rests on, when you think about, if you go back to some of the descriptors that I mentioned about type A personalities, they tend to be highly competitive, always on the go, highly aggressive, overachievers, if you will, so on and so forth. That sounds like a person who would be up underneath a lot of stress. That sounds like a very stress-filled life. And we know that based on statistics, based on medical research, stress is often linked to issues with the heart, whether it be a heart attack or high blood pressure, those type those type of extremities, extreme stress, what it does to the body, what it does to the heart muscle, what it does to those valves. And you and I, we were not designed to move under levels of stress like that. We've got to learn how to bring some balance to our lives, how to bring some discipline to our lives. Sometimes it could be that, we're so busy trying to compete um, in the business world, or we're trying to compete, we're trying to maintain a certain lifestyle of living, or we can put too much emphasis on things that we acquire, or that we think that we need in order to say, oh, I'm living life. And we devalue just life itself, nature, breathing in, breathing out daily, relationships, friendships with people, discoveries, the arts, things like the symphony, the beauty of music. I love music. I'm a person that's inclined to music. Apparently, it is something that God bestowed in me. It's like it rests in my bones. And I love music. Music, it can inspire me in different ways. It can take me spiritually and mentally to places that maybe my current situation, my current setting does. So if I sometimes feel highly stressed, or I'm like really in my mental, in my mind, I'm in my place of thoughts and pondering things, sometimes I just go and put on some style of music. I'll say maybe like a little smooth jazz there. I put on some of that there, and just listen to it. It could be instrumental, or it can be an artist that I'm listening to, bossa nova, different things like that. And I'll notice that it'll bring that level of maybe anxiety or stress, or that heightened sense down to where I'm calm, I'm at peace, resonating within. My senses are a little bit more sharper. I can see things a little bit more clearly. I don't feel rushed. I can hear perhaps the Spirit of God. I can hear His presence. I can sense Him close by me when I get still, when I slow down the pace a little bit. I'm not overly aroused or overly excited or overly heightened or pressured, just kind of getting still. And yes, we feel pressure. We're going to feel stress at times. We're going to have challenges at times. But part of what's going to make us or break us, or that's going to make us victorious, is how we move through that thing. Yes, sometimes we're going to have to push through it. We can't go over it. We can't go under it. We're going to have to push through it, and we're going to have to lean on wisdom, lean on knowledge, perhaps wisdom, knowledge from the elders, wisdom and knowledge from our parents, wisdom and knowledge from people in communities, knowledge, wisdom from God's Spirit, from His Word, different things. We may have to move through it. But just to get still, calm down our mind, calm down our spirit. That's what Elijah had to do after he had done what it is that God had asked him to do. He had to go and deliver a message to a king. He had to go deliver a message to this king and to his wife. At this particular time, I believe it was Ahab and Jezebel. I could be wrong with Ahab, but Jezebel is involved in this. And he had to go to these people. They're in political office, if you will. They're in leadership, the highest rank amongst humans here on earth. He's having to go and he's having to declare something to them that God has told him to declare, and it was not in their favor. And what he had to say to them, very much like in today's time, would have cost him his liberty, his freedom, and cost him his life. So now he's on the run. He's done this mission, if you will, and now he's on the run, and he's not sure about it. He don't know what's going to happen after that's done. Jezebel is hunting him down. She's looking for him. She wants his head on a platter. Okay. So he goes and he gets off into this cave somewhere, kind of secluding. And we all do these things. Sometimes we go into a cave, like in our mind, we withdraw and go into our thoughts, go into our mind. And the mind and the thoughts can send us all different types of places and cause us to question ourselves. And so then God asks him and says to him in a soft voice, "Why are you here? Why are you here? What's wrong with you? What's going on?" Notice how God asked him the question. I talked about in our last segment how we should not be afraid to ask questions. And we should not shy away from questions being proposed to us or being posed to us. God asked him the question, "What's wrong? What's going on? Why are you here?" And then they begin to have this conversation and this dialogue, so on and so forth. And through that dialogue, through that interaction, then God is able to give Elijah instructions to try to maintain his physical, his emotional, his mental well-being. Okay? All right. Let's go into Matthew chapter 5. And we're going to look at verses 1 through 11 because we've been talking about type A, type B personality traits. Where do I fit at in this? Do I even fit in it at all? An assessment of me, my personality, where I'm at right now in life. And understand that as we live, I want to say this too, that throughout the course of life, we will change. Some of our traits or our characteristics, what belongs to me will remain. But as I live, as I experience, as I explore, as I have relationships with people, as I observe, so on and so forth, many different things may blossom. Many different things may change. The perspective that maybe I had 5, 10 years or more ago, I may not have today. I may not have that. So change is something that's a part of our life course. Okay, Matthew chapter 5, verses 1 through 11. I'm going to read it. I am reading from the American Standard Version. Verse number 1 reads, "And seeing the multitudes, he is going to be Jesus in this passage, okay? He went up into the mountain." It seems like if you kind of follow Jesus, whenever he's like really getting ready to sit down and have a little Q&A with his disciples, he would go up into a mountain. He would kind of go high up, away from what's going on the ground level, and kind of go up. Some of us, we got to get our ears off the ground. Some of us, our ears are too low to the ground, so to speak, perhaps in matters or situations that's contentious, not productive, counterproductive, if you will, and we're just spinning a web. We're spinning a web and getting ourselves caught in it more and more and more through non-productive dialogue, through non-productive conversation that might be categorized as gossip, with no true end, no true objective, just kind of like dwelling in the mess, if you will. You got to come up from out of that. You got to see yourself going up higher. Some of us, we see ourselves down too low. We have a low image, a low perception, if you will. We have a low view of ourselves. And if you have a low view of yourself, how can you expect anybody else to have a higher view of yourself? Nope. You got to come up. Take them raggedy clothes off if you've been dwelling in raggedy clothes, dingy clothing, unwashed clothing, kind of just sitting around wallowing, kind of down there, if you will, like with the pigs, with the prodigal son, that he had enough sense because, see, he knew better and he had experienced better and he knew where better was than where he was at. He had allowed himself to go all the way down there with the pigs and the swine. He's down there in the mud, dirt, muddy waters, murked waters, filthy waters. There's nothing down there but filth, trash. That's not where you're supposed to be at. You got to come up, is what the Lord is saying to us today. We've got to come up higher. Come up higher with him. Let's go to the mountain. Okay, so he went up into the mountain, and when he had sat down, his disciples came unto him, and he opened his mouth, and he begins to teach them. Oh, that the Lord would open his mouth and we listen and he teaches. Okay. Verse 3, blessed, letter B, blessed, type B, are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Now, he's not talking about, I don't believe he's talking about being poor economically, but he's talking about in the spirit, down deep within us. There's a reservoir, there's a need for something greater than what material things and accomplishments and gold and fame and all those things can provide. It's a place that's only reserved for Christ. That's what he's talking about. If you're poor in spirit, if you're lacking that sense of your origin and where you come from, and there's got to be something greater to me than what I see. The Bible says that those things that are not seen are greater than those things that are seen. The things that we can see, that we can touch, that we can feel, they're temporary. But those things that we cannot see, those things are permanent. Those spiritual things, those things that pertain to God, that he holds, those things are permanent. Verse 4, blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. We all are going to experience mourning from sometime in our life. Things will happen. Challenges will come. Situations will happen. Trauma will come. Loss will come. Different things like that may cause us to mourn. It don't even have to necessarily be something that impacts us, but do I have that empathy to see things that's going on with other people, and can I weep for those people? That's going to be probably more indicative of a type B personality person. That person who can show that empathy. Can I empathize with the person? I don't necessarily have to have experienced it, but do I have an ear just to listen to them, and can I feel what they feel and empathize with them, and allow them the opportunity to just kind of purge themselves through that mourning? And can I mourn with them? Can I slow down and take the time to do that? Blessed are the meek, verse 5. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. That's someone who shows humility, who can be humble. It's always been said that people that really, really have value and really, really have worth and commodity and things of that nature, they don't have to talk about it. They don't. That's probably not a good thing to do either, because not everybody's going to be pleased with that. But a person who really has value, who really has substance, and it's not always in things, it can be with this here. It can be within here. They don't go around spouting it. That person, you can feel their energy, and you'll be pulled to them. You'll know it by what comes out of their mouth, the wisdom that comes out. Blessed are they that hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Those people who, God, I want to do what's right. I want to be a person of integrity. I want to be a person of value. I want to be a person of truth. I want to be of a contribution to my community, to my neighbors, to my family, to myself. Those people, God said, I'll bestow that on you. I'll show you how to do it. I'll connect you with people. I'll help you to form the right relationships with. I'll bring people your way and help you to build those relationships, and so on and so forth, and send you abroad. Verse 7, blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Mercy is important, you all. It's very important. We all need mercy. Siri's trying to talk to me. Mercy is important. We all have the propensity to show mercy because we receive mercy every day. Every day that we wake up, it's God's mercy. He said, I have new mercy for you. You didn't have to ask me for it. I'm a father. I am your father of creation. And so I give it to you. And like so, we should give it back in return. And so then when we do that, it's reciprocated. It's reciprocated. When people make errors, when people have challenges, when they make wrong choices, decisions, don't be so quick to jump on them. Don't be so quick to do that. Don't be so quick to put your mouth on them. No, because a lot of times we don't understand the whys behind it. There could be a depth behind it. So we ought not be quick to do that. We ought to be quick to try to help make them whole. Verse 8, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. I remember some years back, the Lord spoke this to me in a dream. I was asleep, and he spoke it to me in a dream. And I knew when he said this to me, I knew what it was that he was asking me to do, and I went and did that accordingly. He was petitioning me. He was giving me a assignment to do. Verse 10, blessed are they that have been persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. When we make the decision or we put forth the effort to do what's right in a situation where if we do the opposite, we could profit from it temporarily, expect that we're going to wrestle with that thing a little bit. People who serve on jurors and have to make decisions based on evidence presented to them and hopefully come up with the right decision. They wrestle with that, and oftentimes, sometimes they can be persecuted for that. That comes with the territory. It comes with that. Some things that we do here, we may not receive the reward here. People can't reward us accordingly. We have to wait to receive that from up above. And I don't believe that we always have to wait until we leave here. Some things God said, I'm going to give you down here. I'm going to let it be accredited to your reputation. And I'm going to bless you where other people can see that. So believe for that and receive it and look for it. Verse 11, blessed are you when men shall reproach you and persecute you and say all manner of evil against you falsely for my name's sake. So as followers of Christ, as type B, there's your type B, from a biblical standpoint, there's your type B characteristics and traits. We should expect that, and we should know this just as people, in our faith, Christianity, and following Christ, and this is significant to all religions as well, so not just Christianity, but we should understand that not everybody's going to agree, not everybody's going to receive, not everybody's going to see. Some things will come at us as a matter of our affiliation with Christ, not necessarily something I've done, but because of entities, whether they be spiritual or whether they be natural or physical. I've got to count that in with my buy-in, that it's going to come. But I trust the Lord that he will strengthen me, and he will give me the fortitude, the character, the strength, the knowledge, the understanding on how to handle that and how to proceed through that, how to respond to it, okay? How to address it, not to address it, just to be secure in him, okay? All right, that ends our reading there with Matthew chapter 5. I want to give you just a little bit of background for Matthew chapter 5, or just some tidbits. That section that we read is commonly referred to as the Beatitudes in the Latin. It's Beatitudo, and that refers to happy or fortunate, okay? In the English, it is described as or defined as being a state of utmost bliss, or a statement of declaration or a declaration. Now, what is bliss? Bliss is complete happiness. Now, complete happiness, that can translate across the board into family, friends, relationships, nature, book reading, entertainment, my spiritual relationships, so on and so forth. I could be experiencing bliss there in music, in the arts, in doing things that I like to do, travel, all those type of things like that. Now, a declaration is the act of declaring or making an announcement or making an affirmation, okay? This is an affirmation or an example of a declaration. This is Psalms 1. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel. And remember, on our last segment, we talked about counsel and wise counsel and how it's important to have that. Blessed is the man or the woman that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. Scornful being contemptuous. Okay, so there is a blessing in counsel. Mm-hmm. There is a blessing in asking questions. There's a blessing in wise counsel, okay? Because a lot of people are giving counsel. Anybody can sit up and say that they're giving counsel and can be sending you down a cliff, okay? So we've got to really get into the practice of vetting people, vetting their background. Who are you? Where did you come from? What qualifies you? You know, here's a simple word: consider the source. Consider the source. And I try to live by that as well. You know, if somebody's coming and talking to me or saying something to me or trying to bring some news shopping around, I do consider the source. I do. That's just the type of person I am. I'm very analytical and very observant and those type of things like that. So I don't just let anybody just come and say something to me and talk to me. And you should not be that way either. Okay. All right. We've gone up the hill, we're coming downhill. Okay, so in closing, in terms of personality, which do you most closely identify with? Type A, type B, or maybe a little bit of both. I present to you that balance in looking at both is key. So we may have a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of both to help balance us. Okay. If you want to have fun with doing a personality assessment, you can see these online. A popular one that I like to do is one by Myers and Briggs. Myers, Meyers, Briggs, Briggs, a personality assessment, okay? So we have mixed in our segments, in our presentation, we mixed in a little bit of psychology, if you will, psychoanalysis, if you will, and biblical scripture or biblical basis in approaching the person, in examining the person. We are people, we are individuals, we are human beings. Okay, so I hope that you got something out of this and that you'll take something away from it. And I look forward to seeing who will be the first to come up with this answer to the question that I gave you earlier. So like, share, and comment, and we will see you next time here at the AOFC.